Hello viewers, this is Rajiv again, and today I chose a topic that is very close to my heart, and a topic about which I keep on thinking many a times during my any of my introspections, and that is where I just thought of sharing my views on that. And well, the topic is nothing related to physics, but then it's related to life. It's related to something that we hear in every aspect of life, in every wake of life, right? And today I'm going to talk about my thought on motivation. Okay, so obviously, doesn't depend whether we are working as an employee or we are an employer, or I look forward as a parent to motivate my kid, or when I'm a student, obviously I talk about motivation, right? If I'm a soldier in the Indian Army, obviously there also I talk about motivation. And the reason why I picked up this topic is yesterday during my morning walk, I just happened to talk to one of my neighbors, and coincidentally he was reading a book on motivation, and he works as a manager in a pharmaceutical company. And then when we talked about it, and we just engaged into a very fruitful discussion, exploring each other's thought. So that is where I thought, why not to share my thoughts with you as well, right? And that's why I picked up this platform. Okay, so before we go into this topic, right? So a quick disclaimer that I am not gonna talk about any theory given in any management book, because I believe whenever we talk about anything related to management, it's always about managing men, or managing people, managing human beings, right? And I believe that the true teacher for that is your own experience, so your own introspection and whatever you believe. So obviously something that works good for me may not work good for you, or something that works good for you may not work good for me. For example, if the same bowler bowls the same ball to Virendra Sehwag, or and Tendulkar, and to Kohli, and to Dravid, all these four grades, they would have their own way of handling that ball, their own way of playing it out. So here let me go out with my thought and my views on motivation. And obviously, as I said, this is one of the very key topic discussed everywhere. So for example, as I work in a corporate, obviously many times senior management says, how do we motivate team members, how do we and engage our employees. As a student, we think that how do I motivate myself to crack maybe an IIT or an medical entrance exam, or maybe if I want to be a a very big superstar in film industry, or I want to be an athlete. Obviously a person looks forward to motivation, right? But what this thing motivation is, I mean, is it something that we just go in and we switch on any of the motivational video, we watch it for a few moments or few minutes, obviously we feel energized, we feel that, oh, you know what, I can probably go out, express myself, and then win the world. But then why in a short span again we feel down? Why do we need someone to come and keep pushing us, keep motivating us towards our goal? So what is that need, or why is it needed at all on the earth? And I think a very simple answer to that is, and let me share my thought on it as with an example, that in front of my apartment there is a tiffin center, and 34 30 35 is a guy along with his mom and aunt. They prepare and serve idlis and vadas in that tiffin center. Now that guy probably wakes up as early as 5 a.m. in the morning, or maybe even before that, have everything prepared, and then opens up the shop, say around 5:36 a.m. in the morning, and then runs it throughout the day. The next day, he does it the same. Uh, as an employee we think that, oh, you know what, it's a Saturday, Sunday, I need a break, I need, it's my off day. But why does that person not think like that? Why does that person not need anyone else to motivate himself, right? But why do we as employees look forward to some motivation from somewhere, be it, self motivation, or be it somebody else motivates us? Why do we really need that, under the earth? And a very simple answer to that could be, say for example, if my son, who is a 6-year-old guy, he doesn't need anyone to motivate him to watch a tablet. In between his classes, when he gets 5 minutes break, he just rushes around and finds out, oh, where is my tablet? And let me, watch it. So, or obviously as parents, you would have also, noticed that whenever our kids are interested towards something, they don't need anyone else in the world to motivate them. Uh, but but we do need motivations when we are graduates, we are postgraduates, we hold certain degrees, we work in an organization, and we are highly paid. At that time, why do we need motivation? And I think the answer and, the solution lies in what I have called as the DEF, the depth theory, right? And what is that? So I believe that whenever we are talking about motivation, the key reason why, people need someone else to motivate them is, the dream. So probably every employee would have mugged up the vision of the company they worked with, or, the mission statement of the company they worked with. But how many of us live by that, right? How many of us have felt that, oh, you know what, this is what I want to do? For example, when Sachin Tendulkar would have thought of, becoming a cricketer, he would have not required probably his elder brother or Ramakant Acharya to come and motivate us. Or probably not that his father, he would have not thought that, oh, you know what, I want to be a cricketer, but let my father give me a bat and ask me to go and, practice, go and, express myself, right? Or so that is the key, that whenever we talk about motivation, and I would be talking about that in two dimensions, as I said. First one is motivating yourself and motivating others, right? So whenever we call out motivation, I always feel it is something, chasing my dream, or even to take one step back, do I have a dream in the first place or not? So if you put it in the words of Dr. Abdul Kalam, I would say, I would repeat that obviously a dream is something, not what you see while you are sleeping, but something that you see, and after that it does not let you sleep. So, and when we connect anything, with that enthusiasm, or when we have that dream of achieving something in our life, obviously after that we don't need a motivation. So for example, if you ask me, my dream or my passion or what I wanted to be, then I would say obviously it was to be a teacher, and to own a very big institutional, organization. So my friends, who with whom I have shared it during my college life, they know that that what was my dream. So I think just a week back, when I thought of taking my first steps toward it, I don't need probably my mom or my wife or anybody else for that matter in the world to come and tell me, hey Rajiv, this is what you are supposed to do. You need to prepare this, and this is how you need to deliver it to your students. But then, having said that, does it guarantee that I would win? You never know. You never know. I could probably end up being a very pathetic teacher. I could end up being, not a great teacher. But if I have that dream, and if that burns that fire inside me, then obviously I do not need anyone else to motivate. So that is why I say, when we have the first thing, D established, the dream established, then there are two factors. E is the excitement, as I said, excitement, or you can say the joy or the happiness of achieving it. And on the flip side is the F, the fear of losing it. So A, when we have a dream, We have the excitement of achieving it and the fear of losing it. I believe once these three things are established, as an individual, we do not need anyone else in the world to motivate us. And trust me, friends, we can go and read as many management books as we want. We can watch motivational videos, or we can just, say, wow, Armstrong, just with one leg, won Tour de France so many times. Yes, we know that. But how many of us have that fire burning in us to chase our dream? And again, we say, is it so easy in the practical life to follow your dream? Probably not. And that is why I think Rousseau has very properly said, or aptly put, that we human beings are born free, and that is it. After our birth, we are in chain, and till we, reach our cradle, from cradle to grave, this journey is always in chains. We only are free in cradle, but the journey from cradle to grave is chain. And what do we mean by these chains? Obviously, we mean the constraints that we have, maybe the social constraints, maybe the economic constraints, maybe peer pressures, maybe anything else in the world. So, for example, I've seen many friends who probably wanted to be a very good singer or a very good athlete, but then when I was a student, probably it was a crime to, spend time on anything other than studies. So their parents would always push them, saying, "Hey, you know what? Your father is a doctor, or your father is an IAS officer. So there's only one thing in the world that you should and you can do is read, and read." And trust me, friends, yes, few people can still handle that stress. They win in their life, but I have seen many folks who leave the dream of someone else, and that someone else could even be your father, could even be your mother, could be your neighbor, could be anyone else. Also, for example, if today I become, overwhelmed by the success story of Virat Kohli or an Amitabh Bachchan. And if I think, hey, you know what, I dream to be Virat Kohli, or probably that's that's not me. I'm not living my own dream. I want to be Virat Kohli. But the day when I want to be Rajiv, and the day when I know what is something in the world that naturally pulls me towards itself, so that is when I would have my D or my dream established. And I think once that D is established, we do not need, anything, anybody else to motivate us, because obviously once the D is there, we have the excitement of reaching there, and obviously we will have a fear of not being there. And both these strengths are needed to reach that pinnacle of, achieving our dream. Coming to, and this is predominantly about motivating ourselves, or motivating, oneself on his own or her own. But when it comes to motivating others, I think, again, this is not very different from what we have talked so far. I still remember one of the articles read by, uh, I have read, written by Jidu Krishnamurti in my school days, that motivating others starts with first motivating yourself, and then transpiring that to others. And what is that we are transpiring that, into others? Not, and that is nothing but the dream which we have talked. So for example, if if I want to own a big organization, and I want to be successful, and I want to have a set of individuals who would be putting all their efforts to, towards that dream, then I think I have only one way to make it, and that is attaching them to my dream. So I think that is where we hear in times, at times in our offices, saying that, are we engaged, or are we just employees? So when somebody would be engaged, v- only when a person lives by the dream of that company or that organization, or when the senior management of any organization can sell the dream of that organization in the right spirit, in the right direction, to their employees. I think that is what it is. And once that dream is sold, we do not need to have very big management sessions for them to motivate them, because anything other than or anything before we are connecting with the dream, it is just a temporary push. And remember friends, the natural behavior of water is to flow down. So, as a physics teacher, I'll say that obviously in the world, we do not need any extra energy, or we do not need to do any extra work to let water flow down. Obviously, if water is at a height, whenever it's let free, it will fall down with all its energy, all its force, and it can do whatever it is supposed to do. But only when we want to raise water from a lower altitude to a higher altitude, that is where we need to do work against it. And that work is stored as a potential energy. And that's a very simple phenomenon, right? We compress a spring. The natural length of a spring is when it is compressed. The moment you leave it, it just comes back to natural. So that is why I think connecting to the dream is very, very important, or the key. Anything and everything could be built around it, but probably not by forgetting the D, because once D is there, we have the DEF established, and I think that becomes a self motivating factor for any employee. Also, when we want to motivate ourselves, once we have the dream, other things become just byproducts of that dream. Thank you, friends. That is all I wanted to share. Look forward to your comments.